Women are the best. They truly are. She is an artist, a dancer, an entertainer, a CEO. From climbing the highest mountains to running organizations, she is excelling in sports and she is even leading countries. She definitely is the best. And in this series, we bring to you some aspirational and inspirational stories from women from the Middle East. This new series by Sirona called The She in Me is brought to you to give you stories about courage, ambition, and moving forward. One such story that we have today is of Marianna Bulbuc, who is the CEO of Bizzmosis Group, and she is here with us today.
Thank you so much for such a stellar introduction. It's an honor and a great pleasure to be here, and humbled to know that I'm an inspiration to so many.
Absolutely. What you've accomplished in, might I say, such a young age is aspirational and inspirational to all the women out there. And we'd love to, start and hear your story. That where did it start? Like, how was your childhood? How were your parents? How was the environment that you grew up in? And then we'll take the story.
Indeed, childhood does form us towards our life ahead. And I have had a quite interesting and colorful childhood. I am blessed to come from a very united and tight family with numerous members. Even though we're only two siblings, other family members have numerous kids, and our gatherings have always been loud and warm and full of love. So getting and giving was the core of our family values.
How many people were there in a family gathering? Like, let's say during the holidays, how many people would be?
Oh, in the hundreds usually.
In the hundreds?
Yes.
Wow, I don't even know that many people, and you had that family.
Yes, it is exciting, and it is a unique experience to learn the generosity and the love, the unlimited and unconditional love of family, right? So that has formed me first and foremost of who I am today. However, growing up in Moldova and being born in Soviet time and growing through the independence period when the country gained independence was challenging. There was a lack of resources, there was lack of safety and security. There were a lot of challenges for my parents to provide to us, from food to education, safety, house, and so on. So going through the youth was probably one of the best example that I have learned from my parents, whereas they, beyond the struggles that I've been through, they have always kept positive, supportive of each other, never giving up on hope. And even if sometimes we had to eat, literally bread with boiled potatoes and nothing else, because nothing was available in the country or affordable, my parents have always kept positive and pushed to motivate me and my brother to learn, to grow, to become independent, to not be scared of losses, however, make the best out of them and take that challenge into an opportunity. And that has triggered in me, I think, from childhood, the wish of not giving up and the probably lack of being scared of losing it all, because you can always gain it back if you don't give up.
When you start from the bottom, then what's the worst, right? When you start from rock bottom, it's there that you can fall to. So that's right, that the fear is out. And I think that one of the biggest things is once you don't fear anything, then success is the only option that you have, right? It's the fear of failure which normally kills us. But this is a very interesting point, that there was a time where food, security, these basic essentials, right, which again, today's people, especially in the developed part of the world, take for granted. It's like table stakes for them. So how did you get through that? Because that's a tough time, and it's very easy to get demotivated or to feel that this is it, right? This is going to be my life and there's no way out. How did you pull yourself? Was it your family? Was it yourself? Was it an event which triggered that no, I can come out of this?
Well, obviously it's the family, because that happened at a young age, and we as children were not independent yet and depending a lot on my mom and dad and other relatives. So having a tight family helped a lot to not feel alone and left behind, because, in our life journey, sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. Today we have, tomorrow we might not. So when you have a tight family that is there no matter what, then that obviously gives you that confidence that no matter what happens, I will not be left behind. That's one. And two, mom and dad always pushed myself and my brother into not giving up on learning, being always hungry to get absorb everything around you. So no matter how experienced you are, at any age, if you keep being a pupil and learn and develop and stay curious, then it's impossible to not grow. It's absolutely impossible. You know, it becomes an organic movement. And regarding the fear, we're always afraid to lose. We're always afraid to lose friendships, afraid to lose reputation, afraid to lose money that we've worked so hard for. So it's not the lack of fear, it's how we handle that fear, which my parents taught me since young age, saying, you need to cry, go cry, pull yourself together, get out and fight. So this is probably the narrative that most people nowadays, especially my team members, know that if I have a emotionally challenging day, I would go isolate myself if I need to cry, come back and fight. And this is why many call me a tornado, generally, that I pass and swipe everything.
So I'll take my time, I'll generate that, and then I'll come and I'll blow everyone away.
Exactly.
But that's so, this is such a strong feeling, right? And I think that women have this more than men, because men are not allowed to cry or are not taught to cry. And they're like, crying is, it showcases you being weak, but you know, that you channel your emotions. And then after channeling that, come back more fierce. I think that's something that is very, very interesting. And this whole aspect of learning, because I feel complacency is what kills you. And so what's the last, let's say, thing that you learned? That could be today, could be yesterday. What was like the last thing you learned? Because it not be big, it could be small as well. What was the last thing that you learned?
Well, obviously industry-related news I read on a daily basis, and I'm very passionate about learning nowadays the new technology, the AI, the blockchain, and the whole development of the UAE, yes?
This AI is very scary. Like, I think AI is now my best friend. We have full conversations now with one another.
Well, yes, that is that could be an angle to look at. I think any innovation is scary at start until we understand it and until we learn to regulate it. So recent information that I've learned was first about the AI and what this means and how this impacts, and by the example of the UAE as a country that tries to be the first in the world to apply it. And secondly, I've started studying a lot in psychology, specifically into how our childhood and our past affects our current reactions. And what triggered this interest for me is that I have a deep sense of pride of the team that I have built in Bizzmosis and every member that I have in the team. And a big part of my attention is to try and develop their talents and try and to build pride in themselves, so what they have achieved while having the journey in Bizzmosis. So it's not just a hiring experience, it's more that come here, and some of my employees I've literally headhunted from restaurants or cabin crew while flying on an airplane and liking the soft skills. So a lot of my team members have zero experience in the field, and I have taught and developed them to who they are today.
Where were you all my life? My career was struggling. I should have found somebody like you.
Oh no, I don't pretend to be the connoisseur of it all. But it's a deep passion, and it gives me the satisfaction of going to work. And if I know that I've impacted 10% positively the life of someone, no matter what it is, the client, my family members, or the team that I'm very passionate about, then I feel that I've left a legacy behind. Because money come and go, but impacts that we do in others, I think, stay for long. So that's another thing that I've learned from mom and dad, that even if we had little into the transition of country gaining independence, not all our life, but into that transition, they still have stayed generous and kind to people around us.
But that's such a beautiful thought, that money comes and goes. It's people that you impact and how you create from that. And not only do you create people around, but you've created your life as well, right? From the story that we just heard, where it was very tough, right? And it was a pre, let's say, Bizzmosis period. And then how did it change? Like, when did it change? When did you realize that I want to, like, I'm sure it happened when you came to the UAE. What triggered that? And then how did you come here? And what was your journey beyond that? After all that hardship with a positive support system, albeit, but then how did that transition happen?
I think all my youth, I have tried to be always the first and the best and learn as much.
So you are one of those overachievers, huh?
Probably I was younger. And again, that's due to circumstances, right? So when you don't have the resources, you make those resources. And what my mom and dad kept repeating is, look, if you give up, then you have no excuse.
Correct.
Okay, so you've chosen that path. If you don't give up, it's hard, but then sooner or later things are going to change. Maybe not the way you want it, but they will change. And then you get the best out of the next step and the next step, and you move forward. So that's why through school, even though I went to a private school, I had a lot of support from the government. I excelled at the university because there was no other choice. I had to excel, in order to be sponsored by the government. I had to build a name for myself. I had to get involved in a lot of projects in my country, sponsored by European Union since I was 13. I had to squeeze the maximum juice of the opportunities. This is why I have become that overachiever. However, as you asked earlier, when that conversion happened, is that initially I was trying to do it all to prove myself to others. While when I gained my financial independence, first from having a good job, secondly from trying to save funds in order to develop what I love, I understood that proving others consumes me. So you're always getting tired of proving yourself, no matter what it is. Are you a good mom? Are you a good wife? Are you a good sister? Are you a good daughter? Are you a good entrepreneur? Are you a good leader? So proving one's expectations will always exhaust you, and they will always guaranteed be placed for disappointment, because we can't.
You can't.
Rise to
Everyone
someone's
can't be
expectations.
happy, correct.
Yes. So the breakthrough was when I came indeed to the UAE, and I found a raw environment. UAE, when I moved here more than a decade ago, was very raw in regards to women access to, let's say, entrepreneurship, in regards to women recognition, in regards to women access to power. It was that glass ceiling that was just opening. So I saw this opportunity and I understood, you know what? I think I can do something with it. But what do I want to do? I mean, do I want to be a rider of the wave of change, or do I want to be the change? And this was exactly that breakthrough when I said, you know what? I've been a rider of the wave until now. How about I try to influence the change? And having some diplomatic projects that I've done back home with President X, at that time President of Romania, Moldova, Italy, in some ministries working on different projects, I have learned that power and influence can be not only by being forceful into power, but also being empathetic and having strong negotiation skills. And this is where I started changing my approach into proving something, fighting for it, onto finding ways to negotiate, to influence it. And UAE has given me that opportunity.
This whole corporate manifesto that you had, this whole vision that you had, and this whole, overachieving that you had, there are a lot of people who, again, there are two aspects. One is that everyone wants to impress the other person, and social media has made it like a must-have, right? Like even at ages 10, 12, 14, people are out to impress. Even if they have 10 followers, they're like, I want to impress these 10 followers every day. My day is better than yours today. How do they break through that, this need, this constant need to satisfy others? How do you feel that somebody could break through that?
First, I want to say that it's not wrong to want to impress others. I mean, we're social human beings, and we need that recognition and that support system, especially we don't have it from other parties. What is better to do is to choose, first of all, to what extent am I happy to prove myself, and to what extent I lose myself and my value while chasing the approval, right? So that's the first step. What am I happy to prove that adds value to me? And at one point, what other expectations are damaging to me and I should stop? So that's the first step. And then second step is, do I really need to prove my worth to people that actually don't understand it or don't see it? So who I prove to? So to what extent I prove to, and who do I prove to? So obviously now having the honor and the exceptional pleasure to work with multiple diplomatic missions around the world and governments, including the UAE government, multinational entities, I still do work in proving my worth, my brand's worth, my team's worth to our clients, proving our value into the partnership that we create, proving myself into having all these social gatherings, speeches, opportunities, mentorship programs that I do. But those align with my values and my choices, and firstly, and secondly, people who I engage with to prove add value and help me grow. So it's nothing wrong when trying to prove yourself. It has to be, however, within you, not changing you.
Your industry is very unique, right? People normally, like, coming from a South Asian background, we have doctor or engineer, maximum now lawyer. And then growing up, like the kids only want to be either cricketers or movie stars, or so there's only a certain palette that people grow in. But your industry is very unique, like working with the government, opening doors for international companies to come here to the UAE, building those bridges. It's a very unique area. How did you stumble upon that? Like, was it a fluke? Was it something that you knew that you wanted to do? Was it something that, you maybe experienced once and then you were like, hey, this is something that I enjoy? How did you stumble onto that?
I think initially what stays at the core of who I am today is my stubbornness. Since I was a child, I absolutely loved to challenge my parents, especially when they decided how to punish me.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to you right now. Everybody loves to challenge their parents.
Yes. But me, instead of saying no, I started finding ways to negotiate with my mom or dad.
Oh, trust me, the alphas right now do the same. They have a...
And find ways to not do what they say, but do it somehow my way. So I was always very stubborn. And the first thing that I'm very grateful to my mom for and my dad for is that they have never toned down that wish of challenge, but tried to direct it into a positive habit rather than a negative, let's say, part of my character. So, and then growing up and being in different engagement at school, we had a lot of debate competitions.
Really?
Where sometimes randomly, like literally, you had to prove that it rains from down to up and not from the sky to down. So it could be an absolute generic subject that makes absolutely no sense. And you had to win to convince everybody that it rains from down to up. So I absolutely love these competitions at school. And I think this is amazing that our school had this type of competition between classes, groups. Then we made a national competition of debate. And this is when I understood that it doesn't matter what you say, it matters how you say it and how well prepared you are. And if you need to say that red is green and you find correct reasons, you will always, not everybody, but you will always find someone who will be convinced in what you say.
That's why they say, right, that if you're a good salesman or if you have good negotiation skills, you can sell a bald man a comb and he'll be like, this is what I missed out in life. So it's
selling ice to the Eskimos, as they say.
Absolutely.
So that was the moment I understood that no matter what industry I go to, I would really love to be in a social environment where I communicate with people. And secondly, in an environment where I can make an impact through healthy arguments, through healthy debate, and through create those breakthroughs together with a good team. And exactly that's why it aligned with the UAE, because it was in that transition period where the government is still, but a decade ago was literally absorbing opportunities from around the world, creating amazing policies to empower women, entrepreneurship, startups, innovative business models from around the world, laws. We see UAE changes laws and adapts them exceptionally fast compared to any government around the world. So
and it's always progressive. There's always a thought behind it to push UAE into the forefront. Like in 2006-07, nobody could have imagined that in 2023, in the same breath where the top 5 cities in the world are named, Dubai would be named in one of them. So that's actually very commendable. And then seeing people like you who've led that change, is very again inspirational, motivational for people watching our show right now. So this is very interesting, right? This whole negotiation with your parents, is it still there today in your personal life when it comes to people around you, and are they aware of it?
I think I have swapped my focus into negotiating towards improvement of people around me. So I'm more comfortable now with what I have and who I've become. I don't need to negotiate to gain. Let's take it this way. Except with my 6-year-old daughter.
That's what I was getting to. If
That's
you can
very
negotiate
hard.
with your parents, your child has it cut out for her.
Oh, she's got the best of me. I can tell you, negotiations there is always with a gain of peace in the family. Otherwise, I do try to negotiate with employees, with stakeholders, with the government, with investors into improve processes, into creating a win-win situations, in building those strategies of development. And I'm no longer focused at the outmost gain. You know, when you start from low, the first impulse is I need to be financially dependent, I need to rebuild a name, I need to have money, I want to have the independence. And then once you reach that comfort zone through all the sacrifices that you do, you reach to a point where I want to make an impact. So I find myself currently blessed and humbled to be at a stage where I no longer chase, but I embrace and I try to make an impact.
Excellent. Now, when we look at your graph, right, what you've just said is you were very focused in what you wanted, but there are many other things which you had to give up, especially at a very young age. Was there anything that you regretted giving up? Like whether it was, I don't know, whether it was the time as a child, chilling, watching stuff, spending time with your friends, whether it was romance, whether it was sports, anything that you regret giving up because you were so razor sharp focused on what you wanted to achieve?
There's definitely a lot of sacrifices that you go through in any circumstances if you choose a goal. I mean, let's look in sport. A person to become a gold medal at Olympics has to sacrifice a lot to reach to that performance. So it's the same in business, personal development, or anything else. You have to definitely sacrifice a lot of things to go through. I can't say I have a specific regret to a specific, let's say, missing point that I do, because I've had a quite interesting childhood. I'm blessed to not have gone through traumatic situations, and the same with my youth and growth. However, I think that what I could have done better or more is to focus more into making things that make me happy, especially at a young age, rather than trying to do things that made others happy. Because that has built initially that need of affirmation through others, which exhausts you. And then secondly, that took away a lot of my time and focus from enjoying the journey while being focused on the result.
On getting ahead, yeah.
So you get so much disappointment and so much hurt internally when you're only looking, look, I've wanted it to be this way, but I didn't even do 10% of it. Hey, you moved. So even if you did 9% out of it, this is so cool.
And you keep moving the goalpost, right? Because you want to get somewhere, and then as you get there, you want to get somewhere else. So you don't enjoy the journey and celebrate your milestones.
Absolutely.
I think that's something which a lot of people, especially in today's day and age where everything is very fast and quick, that's something they definitely miss out on. And they miss out on enjoying the real moments of life, right? Like sitting at home and watching Netflix an evening because they feel that they're unproductive.
I have to go out.
Yes.
You know, the influencer is in the club or in a restaurant or somewhere. I have to be there too. So I have to show something. No, you don't.
You really don't have
to be happy with what you do. So in that journey, indeed, I was so focused into building that name and empire and brand and meeting expectations and focusing, okay, I have to be there. There's no plan B, plan A. That's it. And there are people who say it's their choice that if you think of a plan B, you will never win at plan A. I disagree. Because in that case, you put unrealistic pressure on yourself.
I disagree with that as well.
And then you feel you haven't achieved anything and you're bad at everything. And then that gives you more pressure and less probability.
And there's less flexibility, right? You don't adapt. And things, as you said, right, they change so fast that if you don't adapt, you're basically stuck. And it's not the right model even to follow from a productivity standpoint, if that's what you're looking at, because you need to have that flexibility to adapt. So if you were not doing this, if you had that flexibility to do something else, what would you be doing?
Actress.
You would be an actress. So we've realized that our cultures are very similar. I think everybody growing up either wants to be a sportsman or a TV personality.
In a way, yes. I mean, I haven't been pushed into what I do.
Of course.
And when I was young, I was contemplating actually, when I was very young, the first thing I did at school was to create a clay figurine of a pregnant woman. And when I was asked what I want to do, I said I want to be an obstetrician doctor and deliver babies because I loved babies and motherhood so much. But then I understood in growing up that I would never do any routine job because I am not a routine person at all. So actress was the dream. However, I'm glad for doing what I do. And I think that I have found my direction in life, and I enjoy coming to work. I absolutely adore my team. I absolutely adore the successes we celebrate with the clients. And even though at the moment I might hate the challenges, I actually am very proud, and it gives me that, adrenaline.
Yes.
So I'm an adrenaline person. Skydiving, scuba diving, I don't know.
You live in the right
Street
place.
racing, exactly. So that adrenaline, when people come to you and they've tried everything, including speaking to the government, and they say, look, it's not possible. And then you go and brainstorm with your team, and then you go around, and then literally sometimes in record time, within a day, sometimes within some months, you find the solution and you make it possible. And the client comes and is like, guys, wow, how did you do it?
How did you do it?
This way. So this adrenaline and excitement, right, that you've made something that others couldn't, keeps me going, and I think keeps my whole team going, and builds that excitement of everyday work.
Well, that's really, really inspirational, because again, where people get stuck, and we're not talking about individuals, we're talking about corporations, organizations, big players in their country. When they get stuck and you show them the way and you make it happen, that's truly very inspirational. Thank you so much for this. We'll do a small segment now, which is called the Sirona series of questions. It's pretty much like rapid fire. I have them ready somewhere, and I'm going to ask you these questions, and organically whatever answer comes out, don't worry, it's a family show. We'll keep it very PG.
Okay.
But let's I'll ask you questions, and whatever comes to your mind, we'll take it from there. All right?
All right, exciting.
So here we go with the rapid fire. Your most prized possession?
My daughter. It's the highest achievement I've had in my life.
Excellent. Who was your mentor growing up?
First was mom, and then secondly was my first employer that literally every day told me, I see myself in you. You will become more than what I am. So that motivation is unbelievable.
Super. The best thing you like about the UAE?
Safety, first of all, as a woman, and opportunities as a woman. And obviously life quality and service industry that spoils us.
It does. This place does spoil you. Once you live, people, they say they come here to live for 6 months. They're like, I live for a couple of years, and then they stay here for their entire life. It's very hard to lead this place. One misconception that women have about breaking the mold?
That I have to become someone in order to break the mold. You have to be yourself and create your own mold. I mean, you don't have to fit in someone else's mold.
So beautiful.
It's all about what makes you happy, how would that impact your life, and then how would that help you improve the situation that you're in. That's it. It's your mold. There's nobody else's expectations more important.
How sweet. If you could act in a movie, which role would you like to do?
Something that has both the good and the bad in it.
Anything recently that you've seen that you thought that I would have liked to do this role?
Oh gosh, I'm not a big movie person.
You don't
I like to read books.
Okay.
Generally. No movie comes to head, but I think I would never be just a superhero.
Okay.
Or just a villain.
You want something which is a little grey, which has a bit of shades of both.
Exactly, because that's how life is. And I think it's also very interesting to play both. It's very challenging and unique as an actor to present both sides of the story.
How lovely. Your first heartbreak in life?
I think the first heartbreak was when I applied for my first job in Dubai. And I haven't been accepted because my diplomatic experience abroad was not recognized because it was not in the UAE. And I was disappointed. I mean, people would say, look, you have no experience in the UAE. So what if you worked with presidents? So what if you worked in embassies? I mean, with your age, 21, and with your experience, maybe you should go and do hostess job or work in a restaurant in service industry. That would be a good startup. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was disappointing to see that all the hard work in the past didn't work out. And it was, I literally came home and cried and I was very upset. And then my husband would say, look, you don't have to work. I mean, I support you, I love you, just stay home and enjoy until you find something. And that is actually why later I said, you know what? You don't want me to work for you? I'll make my own company and I'll make you work for me.
That was like the best rejection ever, right?
Exactly.
It was the best rejection ever. One thing which someone should never say to a woman?
Oh, that's a really cool question. I'll say two things.
Okay.
One, who are you without me?
Ah.
And this is, I think, still, unfortunately, very present in many societies where either parents or men in life of women condescend their value by telling them that without them or without their support, without Jim, there will be nothing or nobody. And I think this is what stops a lot of them to really, truly believe in themselves and take the risk. So that would be the first sentence I should never say to a woman. And second is, calm down.
And has anyone ever said these things to you?
Yes, and they regretted it.
How did you respond? I'd love to hear, and I think people would love to hear how you responded to it. Let's say how you responded to calm down, because that is one thing.
Oh, I definitely didn't calm down. I got better arguments and won the debate. Or I made them calm down. So then later I could deliver my arguments. That was one. And then regarding who are you without me, I've had these questions, let's say, not from the family, and I'm blessed to do that, not from the relatives, but from friendships that went through life, or sometimes through partners that you start growing your business and they think that you're depending on them through your journey. It does definitely affect you emotionally, but then you either stay in that comfort zone and say, yeah, true, who I am without you, I wouldn't go, or you say, you know what, I'll prove to yourself and to myself who I am without you. And I definitely went for the second journey because I don't take no for an answer.
And that was wonderful, right? And the last thing is that for the women who are watching this show, for even the men who are watching this show, who want to bring out the she in them, bring out the she in me, right? Would there be any last advice that you have?
Yeah, I think I'll put it into three main subjects that I would like to touch. First of all, having moments of despair, sadness, cry, or emotional is not actually a weakness, it's a power. As soon as you don't let those destroy your enthusiasm of moving forwards, you need to go through them, embrace them, man or woman, it doesn't matter. You don't have to show them. That's fine. If you want to keep your manlyhood or womanhood and not show it, go behind, go through it, come back, and take the next step from a different angle, a different approach, or with different people. That's first. That is very important. And from a young age, I had to learn it and embrace it. Secondly, you set your own limits. I've been at an event recently in Paris, which was an international forum, and I had the question, how could you have a child, go through post-maternity depression, and build a business from zero to many millions within a year, the same year of delivering the child and growing to that magnitude, and not break through,
break down.
Break down, sorry, yes. And my answer was that if you focus onto standards that you set for yourself, not the standards that others set to yourself. I mean, what is a happy mom? What is a happy wife? What is a good mom? What is a good wife? What is a good entrepreneur? A good entrepreneur could be an artist that works for himself and does what is life. And a good entrepreneur could be a CEO of tens of thousands of employees around the world. The good and the acceptable standards are set by yourself for yourself. And I know it's a very common narrative and everybody says it, but until you don't sit down and write down what is good enough for you and where you want to grow next, clearly, you will always wander between expectations.
Correct.
And you'll see that from one year to another, things are going to change and expectations and deliverables will change and so on. So that's point number 2. And point number 3, don't forget, when you reach a position of pride, achievement, to go back and give back. Give back either to those that gave you or give to those that need your mentorship. I mean, it doesn't cost money to answer a LinkedIn message that says, hey, I have this business, I struggle with this, could you advise me? It doesn't cost you money to go and participate as a volunteer in a program of developing one skill, be it youth from university or women in entrepreneurship or people from underdeveloped countries that don't have access to that education. It costs you absolutely nothing to record a few episodes and series and send them to a platform and contribute. It also costs you nothing to sometimes give financially more than you thought you could, because if you look back, there's been a time where you have benefited from others' generosity.
Absolutely. And even if you've not benefited from everybody, it's still okay to give.
Exactly, but still it's impossible to grow in this world as a solo, I'm the vulture and I'm growing. At any point in time, you had partners, you had stakeholders, you had employees, you had
Correct.
family members, you had someone that told you one sentence that triggered an idea in your head, and it made you. So that is still a contribution. It doesn't have to be someone that you stayed as a teacher for many hours and learned
Correct.
something. So you've grown based on others. Be that part of helping others. It doesn't have to cost you money. Your time is money, but also your time makes a change into someone's
Somebody
life.
else's life.
So there's no excuse of being selfish. And I absolutely love a motto that I saw in a movie, in a series of movies called House of Cards. And the sentence says, generosity and kindness is in itself a form of power.
How lovely.
Because it influences others.
That's
Yes.
so lovely. And on that note, thank you so much, Marianna, for coming and joining us and talking to everyone out there and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for tuning in for this episode. This was an inspirational story. You have to just be your personal best every day and keep giving, and life will be better for you and for people around you. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care. God bless.